Hi, in the previous session we have seen about animal cell culture media and its types. In today's session we will see about characterization of cell line and the markers used for characterization of cell line. Now we see about methods used in mammalian cell line characterization. This cell line characterization is performed in master cell bank, working cell bank, end of cells, also cell within the limit of in vitro cell age for the production of cells. This characterization of cell line is used to differentiate the cells between and within the species to avoid cross contamination. Also, this characterization of cell line helps to differentiate normal cells and cancer cells. First, we see about characterization of cell line. Characterization of cell line is very helpful as it ensures the quality of cell derived biopharmaceutic products. Also, it helps us to identify the cell source and also the presence of other cell lines, molecular targets, also endogenous targets. This characterization of cell line is species specific. So, the characterization may vary which depend on the history of cell line, also the type of media components used for cell culture. Mammalian cell line characterization can be done in 4 ways. Those 4 ways are identity testing, stability testing, purity testing and viral testing. Now we see about identity testing. Identity testing can be carried out using isoenzyme analysis. The binding pattern of species-specific intracellular enzyme can be determined on agarose gels. DNA fingerprinting, karyotyping, DNA and RNA sequencing are the alternate methods used in identity testing. Now we see about karyotyping. Karyotyping is one of the characteristics of cell line. It determines gross chromosomal changes in the cell line. Growth conditions and repeated passaging may cause karyotype change. That is why many continuous cell lines are polyploidy or heteroploidy. Indeed, determination of karyotypic is a basic requirement for describing continuous cell line. Example, HeLa cells. These HeLa cells are the human first epithelial cancer cell line introduced in long-term culture, which has triploid chromosomal number 3 and 1. Now we see about purity testing. Impure materials or impure techniques can cause fungal or bacterial contamination. The contamination can be determined using direct inoculation method with 2 different media. In mycoplasma contamination, the cell culture or the cell line is contaminated with mycoplasma, which is a serious one. Microscopy is not alone the only detection method. We need other methods such as PCR, ELISA, immune staining, fluorescence staining, autoradiography and microscopical techniques. Now we see about stability testing. Cell line derived from human or animal source is called as cell substrate. Characterization and testing of cell substrate is very important to control biological products. It helps to confirm the identity, purity and suitability of cell substrate for manufacturing. Also, cell substrate should be examined at least 2 time points during manufacturing. In addition, genetic stability can also be done by genomic and restriction sequencing, copy number determination and restriction map analysis. Now we see about viral testing. Viral testing of cell substrate should be designed to detect a spectrum of viral diseases. Appropriate screen tests should be carried out based on cultivation history of cell lines. The development of characteristic cytopathogenic effect is a characteristic of yearly induction of viral contamination. Some of the viruses with special concern include immunodeficiency virus, human papilloma virus, hepatitis virus, herpes virus, simian virus and Senda virus. The virus that induce human immunodeficiency and hepatitis can be detected by PCR testing. When cells exposed to serum or bovine serum albumin, they are required to undergo bovine virus test. Some of the virus toxicity assays include XC plaque assay, S1L focus assay and reverse transcription assays. This XC plaque assay helps to detect ecotropic murine retroviruses, whereas this S1L focus assay helps to find amphotrophic and xenotrophic murine retroviruses as they can interact with both murine and non-murine cells. Real-time assays such as real-time fluorophore enhanced product reverse transcription assays and quantitative fluorescence enhanced product reverse transcription assays help to find the conversion of RNA to cDNA. This is possible due to the presence of RT template upon retrovirus transfection in the cell line. Now we see some markers used in cell line identification. As I said earlier, when we do animal cell culture, accidentally we can end up with cross contamination. That means our own interest cell is contaminated with any other species specific cells. So in this case, we have to make sure that we are working on our interested cells. In this case, we have to use certain markers to identify whether we are working on our correct cells. There are 4 major markers used in cell line identification. They are species specific immunofluorescence, isozyme phenotyping, chromosome analysis and DNA fingerprinting. Now we see about species specific immunofluorescence. Species specific origin of the cells in the given cell culture can be determined conveniently and reliably using immunofluorescence by detecting the cell surface expression of the species specific antigens, because each cells from species have their own species specific antigen. So in this case we use minimum 2 different type of antiserum. One is from our presumable species specific origin and the another one is from our contaminant. It can be human, mouse or rat. In this case what we do is we harvest the cells, we centrifuge it, we wash it and then we aliquot it and then we add fluorescein isothiocyanate labeled antibodies. So these antibodies can be minimum 2 different antiserums. After particular time of incubation, the cells will be observed under fluorescence microscope and we look for positive signal. The more the signal we have, we can say that that particular cell line comes from that particular species. So in this way, we can determine the origin of the species of the cells in the given cell culture. Now we see about isoenzyme phenotyping. Isoenzymes are the enzymes that exhibit interspecies and intraspecies polymorphisms that can be detected by the differences in electrophoretic mobility. By using enzyme specific colorimetric staining reactions of electrophoretically separated cell extracts, one can readily determine the electrophoretic mobility of the different isoenzymes present in the given cell extract. For this, what we do is we harvest the cells, we centrifuge the cells, we wash it and we put it in the buffer that we can get the cell extract. Then we put certain concentrations in the agarose film and then we put this agarose film in the electrophoretic chamber. Along with that, we add our control enzyme samples also. Then we run this electrophoresis for minimum 25 to 30 minutes. Then we compare it with our control samples. By this way, we can distinguish our human samples with other primates. Also, we can distinguish our human samples with rodent samples. The most widely used enzyme markers in this experiment are lactate dehydrogenase, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, malate dehydrogenase, ribose phosphorylase. Now we see about chromosome analysis. This is also known as karyotyping. Karyotyping is one of the important characteristics of the cell line as it determines the gross chromosomal abnormalities. When we do cell culture, the growth conditions and repeated passage cause chromosomal aberrations. So this case causes many changes in the chromosomes. That is why many cells have abnormal chromosomal numbers, that is we call aneuploidy. In fact, continuous cell lines have polyploidy or heteroploidy. However, established cell line has stable ploidy status. So in this case, what we do is we take these cells and we treated them with colchicine. This colchicine, what it does is it stops the cell division at metaphase state. After that, we expose the cell to different solutions and finally we fix and then we put it in the slides and then we make a spread of metaphase chromosomes. Then we do many different type of staining which includes Giemsa staining, trypsin Giemsa staining, Hexta band, C11 band and many. This staining, what it gives the information is it gives the changes in the number, ploidy assessment and any number changes in the chromosomes. So we do this karyotyping which gives good unique characteristic of the cell line identification. Now we see about DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting is based on the existence of dispersed hypervariable regions of the tandem repetitive nucleotide sequences in the genome. Polymorphisms within the species is due to the existence of different number of alleles which produce different tandem repeats in the same places. Polymorphic tandem repeats include variable number tandem repeats and short tandem repeats. The most widely used DNA fingerprinting approaches are restriction fragment length polymorphism, shortly called RFLP, and single locus polymorphism. In RFLP, that is restriction fragment length polymorphism, we use VNTR probes, that is variable number tandem repeat probes, by Southern blotting, and that gives different multiple complex patterns of different cell lines. However, when we use different mixture of cell lines, we cannot differentiate one cell line from another cell line. In this case, we can use single locus polymorphism probe. That probe costs only for single locus. So in this way, we can differentiate our cell line from many cell lines. Now we see about the characterization of cell banks of animal cell substrate recommended by World Health Organization, that is WHO. These characteristics include general consideration, identity, stability, viability, growth characteristics, tumorigenicity, oncogenicity, cytogenetics, microbial exposure, and homogeneity. We have come to the end of the session. I hope you have all understood about the animal cell line characterization, methods used in animal cell line characterization, and the markers used in cell line identification. In the upcoming session, we will see about the advantages, disadvantages, and the ethical issues of animal cell culture. Thank you.